Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, August 30th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Hey, Angie, welcome. You're our number one today. Welcome, welcome. And to anyone joining us over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, welcome and thank you. Welcome, welcome. I'm actually sort of starting on time today. Sort of. Oh, hey, Minnesota family, welcome. So I'm going to get started. I'll let everyone else just trickle in. Okay, so today, this show, I'm trying to keep my shows to an hour 15 at the max. But today I want to talk about people who are compelled to report a crime. Welcome, Shelby Jack. Welcome, Shelby. I want to talk about, are you compelled to report a crime? If you witness a crime, if you see it, whatever, should you be compelled to report it? And if witnesses don't come forward, should they be charged? So, what if you see something? You know how they say, see something, say something. You see this crime. It could be something as petty as shoplifting, or it could be something as serious as a murder. Just anything that you know is a crime. Should you report it? And I say should you report it because if the situation was flipped and someone saw a crime being committed against you, would you want someone to come forward? And when I say, if someone doesn't come forward, should the person be charged? I mean, what if it was something really, really serious? But then again, we can't cherry pick and pick and choose. I mean, everything would be serious. I mean, if you're going to come forward and tell me that, someone stole my car or someone killed someone, even, one, of course, is more serious than the other. I still want to know if you saw the package thief who who stole my package, from my front door. So, I guess what I'm asking is, would you want the same courtesy? And at what point is a crime so serious that you should come forward? And should we charge someone if we find out that they knew? Should they be charged? So those are the questions that I have. I mean, that's my opening. Does anybody want to pop in and or chat and tell me what you guys think? Or and I do know that I am pushing it with the whole thing about should they be charged, but I mean, it's just part of the conversation, you know. And if you knew there was a law that says if you saw a crime and if you didn't come forward, you will be charged, be it with, let's just say $100 to time in jail. Would that compel you um, more so to keep your mouth shut, or would it compel you more to speak up? And there are many reasons why people don't speak up. Some people don't speak up because they don't want to get involved. Um, if it was a serious crime, they don't want the perpetrator to come after them. Um, or some people just don't want to be bothered. Some people are like, yeah, okay, I saw it, but I don't have time. I don't have time to go forward and say, what I saw. So what do you guys think? Um, anybody? Anybody? Uh, anybody gonna say anything? Anybody? 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 Okay. Well, then I'm just going to keep going. So, what if uh see, Minnesota says, wait, hold on, my chat jumped. It would be nice if everyone spoke up. Yeah, it would be nice if everyone spoke up, but everyone doesn't. Um, so again, I'm asking, would you want the same courtesy? Would you want someone to speak up if someone did you wrong, or was stealing your car, or or something? And Minnesota says yes. Okay. Yeah, because I have been in situations, I mean, not not that big of a deal, but I mean, but it was still, where someone has taken something of mine, before, when I worked in an office. You know, you work in those cubicles, and things come up missing from your desk. And I remember a coworker saying, yeah, I saw so and so take it. And I'm like, and you didn't tell them to stop? Or you're just now telling me now? This is like a month or two later. Oh yeah, I saw so and so. Yeah, she kept looking at it, and she picked it up and she took it. You couldn't tell me? And the coworker just looked at me like, no. I mean, things like that. I would say something. If I saw a crime committed, I would say something. And Angie says people are scared now to speak up because of consequences of justice system not following through on punishment. But Angie, don't you think that the justice system, um, and I don't care where in the world you are, to me the justice system is just screwed up. I mean, it just is. So does the justice system follow through on punishment? Angie says, hey, exactly. I mean, here in California, if you know are on death row, if you've been, if your sentence is death, literally you end up living until you die of old age, and of natural causes, because you have this appeal, you have this appeal, you have this appeal, where you have in other um, areas of the world, where some places are okay. You were sentenced to death. You go from here, you go into the next room. bang, or they hang you or whatever, and that's it. There's no drain on the tax system or anything like that. Welcome, uh, DMAC. So, um, so Angie, is it the fact that people are scared, or do you think that people are just fed up? Do you think people are like, whatever, because if I say something, or if I come forward, nothing's going to happen anyway, so why even bother? So is it just the fact of people just are like whatever, more so, or do you think that it is because people are scared? And Shelby says, or has the crime been real bad that makes you have to hide? Okay, all right, okay. So, but Shelby, I'm going to ask again. And Angie says, "Yay! I think there's an element of what's the point?" Okay, so Shelby, let me ask this then. I understand that crimes can happen where you know people can threaten you, or that if you come forward, that your family members could be um, in harm's way. I know you have witness protection, but even that may not be be that great. Um, so Shelby, I asked, what if the shoe was on the other foot? What if the situation was flipped, and someone saw that crime happen against you or your family, or someone you loved or knew? Would you want them to come forward, or would you understand why they did not? So, um, okay, so Shelby says both. Okay, all right. So, would you be upset if someone saw something, happen to you or your family? Um, would you be upset if you knew for a fact that they saw it? If you just knew, whether you saw it on your camera or um, whatever, and they were like, "Nope, I didn't see anything," or "Nope, I'm not coming forward," whatever. Um, would you be upset with them? Because me, I mean, I'm I'm going to be honest with you. I would. I mean, and Minnesota says that that's hard. I mean, it is hard. Um, but I would be upset. But at the same time, I would understand, sorta, kinda, because the human nature side of me is saying I understand, but the other human nature side of me is saying, yeah, but you couldn't say something. Okay, so Shelby is agreeing with Minnesota. So what about the so do you think that the crimes that are committed in the US, and I think that the US has some of the most lenient um punishments in the world. Um but at the same time, I think that we do have people who are incarcerated who are innocent. So, what do you all think about, if we did have the system where you're found guilty, you are committed to death, and literally you go from this room to that room, and you're gone. No appeals, no nothing. You are gone. Or if anything, you are put to death, like there's a certain amount of time. You can't spend the next 20 years, going back and forth to court. It's like you have 30 days or 60 days that if there's any new evidence, you have to bring that up. But for the most part, you have that time limit, and that's it. No problem, Angie. I totally understand. Thanks for popping in. So what do you all think about that? Should there be a time limit on 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 the death penalty? Should there be a time limit? Should there be a limit on how um, long you have to live once that sentence um, has been given? And again, I know that could be dangerous because um, Shelby, again, I don't think so because like I said, uh, uh, you have people here in California who've been living for decades. I mean, do you remember Scott Peterson? Scott Peterson, who killed his wife almost 20 years ago, 15 20 years ago. His wife was Lacey Peterson. He is still in death. He's still on death row. You know, in fact, I want to almost say that he married one of his, which I think is safe. He married one of his at Myers. You know, but he's on death row. So you know, but yet you have places like Texas, who I don't think you last more than two years in Texas. So should there be a time limit? And at the same time, should there be a time limit on a witness? You know, I know I think murder is the only thing that doesn't have a what is it, a statute of limitations. I think murder is the only thing in the US that doesn't have that. But should there be a statute of limitations on a witness? So if you witness a crime, or if you knew someone who was a witness to a crime, and if they didn't come forward in a certain amount of time, then can that be, then that's it, then it's over. That person, even if they did come forward, you know, they were a day late or whatever, or a year late, then that information cannot be used. Anybody? Because I do believe that there are people out there who are scared to come forward. I mean, I think you have a lot of people out there who are truly scared to come forward. You know, for whatever reason. Um, Sometimes you have a family member who says, you know, you shouldn't go, you shouldn't, you know, go forward. You shouldn't speak up. Just mind your own business. Um, you know, but should you be compelled to report a crime? You know, and I say that also because, you know, I have ring. You know, a lot of people have ring. You know, whatever, and you see these things where, you know, your neighbors, you know, in the area are posting stuff, whatever, and just people are just blatant now. It's like they look directly into a camera, into your camera, while they are committing the crime. They're looking directly into the camera while they're swiping your package, or you know, they're stealing your car, or they're breaking into your car, or whatever. It's like people just don't care. You know, people just don't care. So does it really matter if I report a crime or don't report, if your camera was right there and they picked up everything? So you don't even have to take my word for it. It's like the camera show everything, but the person still doesn't get caught, or the person still doesn't go to a jail. And like Angie said, uh, people are scared now to speak up because of consequences or justice system not following through on punishment. You know, and then at the same time, you know, in terms of the justice system not following through with punishment, how many people have reported stuff, to the police, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but there's really nothing that we can do." Um, if someone's missing, you know, uh, if it's an adult, you have to wait 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever. But that person could be dead by then. Somebody steals something from you. Okay, just fill this out, and we'll, more than likely you're not going to get it back. But here we'll take a report, but that's all it is. It's just a report. Nothing's really done. So again, I ask, um, if someone committed a crime, no matter what that crime is, should I report it? Because what's the likelihood of the police actually doing something? I mean, what do you all think? Y'all are making me work today. You're making me work today, but that's okay. That's okay. So, do you think that, and I'm just saying for the US, possibly the UK, maybe Canada. I'm trying to think of societies that are more of a quote unquote supposed democracy. Um, what if we were more like in Iraq or Iran? You know, uh, okay, Shelby says based on where you are depends on what will be done. But Shelby, do you think that's really true? I mean, I understand that if you live in a small town where everyone knows everyone, if someone were to steal something, or you went into your local law enforcement office, yes, I do believe there's more of a chance that something would be done. But for the most part, if you said that your bike was stolen, you know um, uh, or even if your car was stolen, it just seems like more and more is okay. We'll take a report, but so I don't know. I don't know, but I do believe that certain areas may be inclined to do something more. But will they necessarily be motivated to do something more? I don't think so. But that's just me. So once again, I'm going to ask, if we were in Iraq, Iran, some of these other places where laws were really really harsh. Um, should countries be more like that? Should we become more like that to either compel people to report a crime, or excuse me, maybe just deter them where they don't, where they're not going to commit that crime? I mean, because if you did um, one of those things where if you steal something, they're going to cut off your hand, whatever, or you did something else, they're going to cut something else off or whatever. I don't think many people would be I don't think many people would be stealing. Let's see. Shelby says other countries will not put up with the crimes. Right. Exactly. And Dee says, do you know if more harsh laws actually deter crimes? I think I think depending upon what the law is, I think that it would, because like Shelby says, other countries will not put up with the crimes. You guys remember that case? I may be dating myself, but this was in the 90s where that kid, American kid, went over to Malaysia, and he either littered on the sidewalk, he either threw trash on the ground or sidewalk, whatever, or he spit, because there was no, because I do know that Malaysia has this no spitting in public law, whatever. And he either littered or he spat, and I'm gonna have to look it up to be sure. But um, part of the punishment was you had to be caned. You were caned 10 times. You know, they took you and they, you know, took a cane and they pretty much beat you on your back or buttocks or whatever 10 times. And it made the news because number one, it was like, well, he's an American, and Malaysia was like, yeah, but you're in our country, you're on our turf. These are our laws, and he shouldn't have done it. And they had signs posted, whatever. Well, the kid, it went on for a couple of months, and he ended up getting caned. The kid ended up getting caned, and he was sent home. And you know, they were saying, well, can't you just send them home? And you know, no, it's like, okay, we'll send them home, but this is what is going to happen. But the kid ended up getting caned. So the if we did have more, if we had harsh laws, if we had laws where you can't spit, where you can't litter, or else, would we walk around and see all this litter everywhere? I mean, you know, would we see people just spit and do other things just gross in the streets? I mean, would we see people, uh, you know, doing things that they shouldn't do if we had harsh laws? Because I think harsh laws. I mean, I just do. I think harsh laws are a deterrent. But on the other hand, and you guys are going to say that I'm contradicting myself, and Shelby says maybe, maybe not. Okay, so in fact, I am about to contradict myself, because then you say, okay, so then people get into prison, and that's where the whole thing is do we need reform in prison, or should people be punished? So do some people go to prison for certain things? Should they, should they be reformed, or should they be punished? So when we have these laws, do we need harsh laws, or do we not? Or some people, it just doesn't matter. Okay, and Shelby says reform in prison. Okay, we can have reform in prison, but at the same time, we have that reform. But what if you're a repeat offender? And you have people who, the prison door is a revolving door. They're out in May, but you know that they're going to be back in June. Whatever. Welcome the only crazy lady. So, um, okay, but with some people, it does not matter. That is true. But Shelby, would it matter if let's see, D says, I don't know who will be the enforcer. Would you want to be the person who has cut off the thief's hand? Okay, but D Mac, at the same time, we can go back and say, well, do you want to be the the hangman? If you live in a country where people are hanged, Do you want to be that person? Do you want to be the person who you know pulls the pulls one of the levers uh, in the gas chamber, or you're one of those people who pulls one of the levers to inject the lethal poison basically that goes into your system. And Crazy Lady says, does taking a hammer to the thief's hand count? I mean, but does this deter crime? So, welcome, Stinger. So, does this deter crime? If we have harsher laws, then we don't have to worry about people coming forth to report the crime. If we had harsher laws, um, if will that stop people? I mean, if you had laws that if you rape someone and you cut off their penis, and you know that this is something that, yes, this is going to happen, will that stop people from raping? And then you have females that also rape. You come up with something with them. I'm not sure what, but if you had something that was harsh enough, will that deter crime? And that way you don't have to worry about people coming forth to report a crime because no one's going to be doing any crime. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, Crazy Liz says, because I did that, lost my temper. And Single says they won't do that. I did drive him to the hospital. Okay, so Crazy, are you saying that you chopped somebody's? I mean, Lorraine Bobbitt. You remember when she got pissed off with her husband, and she chopped it off. So and Single says, I wish they would cut off rapists and pedos. Okay, so do you think that if that happened, Stinger, that we wouldn't have to worry about being witnesses or anything like that? Do you think it would deter crime? Do you think that it would stop a pedophile or a rapist? Oh no, I took a hammer and popped him. Okay, all right, okay. And Stinger says live on CNN. Okay, so let me ask this then. See, Crazy Lady says smash it and no one stole from me after that. Okay, so um, and Singing says they would think that about it more serious about doing it. Okay, so if you're like the only crazy lady, because I am with you there 100%. If you are stealing from me, then I will take something, and if I bash the back of your hand or whatever, um, should that get flipped onto me? Meaning, for a fact, it's not where it was the person wasn't really stealing, they really weren't doing anything, but you caught them red-handed. They were stealing from you, and you maimed them, or they were trying to rape you, whatever, and somehow or another you bent it really hard where you broke it or I mean I don't know or you did a Lorena Bobbitt and you chopped it off. Okay, should I be held for anything? Okay, Crazy Lady says I did lose my temper in moment stealing. Back in the day, they would cut your hands off. They would cut your hands off in other countries, and they probably still do, but not in the U.S. So I'm saying in the U.S., I think we have some of the most lackadaisical. We just have such a lax, justice system. I personally don't even believe that we even know who's in prison. I really don't. I think that you may assume somebody's in prison, but come to find out that they haven't been in their cell for 10 years. I mean, I'm serious. I just think that uh, messed up. Um, we would now call of it. You know? So I mean, but seriously, would we even need witnesses or anything? I mean, if you knew that someone did something and they were guilty, I mean, you knew 100% sure that they were guilty, and you took away something of theirs physically. You know, if someone was a voyeur, you know, they like to, you know, look in what they would call peeping toms or or peeping pats. You know, if you're a female, whatever. Um, you know, and you're looking into someone's, window, or you look at child porn, and you collect it, and you look at it. Um, should should your eyes be removed? Should you be blinded? So therefore, you don't have that problem anymore because you can't watch it. And I know that sounds really mean and harsh, but do we need to get to that point? Sting says in Russia, if a woman has been raped, she's allowed to go after her attacker, as she should be. And nobody likes a snitch, but when it comes to rape and child abuse, yeah, I will report anyone. Okay, so Sting, okay, so you're saying rape and child abuse, which I agree with, but what about someone who, again, something they stole that Amazon package, and you knew that this person was just they just went around the neighborhood every single day stealing people's packages. Would you report that? You know, would you report the classmate, you know, who is constantly, you know, being a bully to another classmate? Would you report that person? I mean, is that being a snitch, or stopping someone from continuing to hurt another person, whether it's physically or even mentally? Because see, for me, I am telling. Now, I'm not worried about that. Amazon has insurance. Yeah, but still, but 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 still, because I look at it like this. If I see someone stealing your package and I don't say anything, that means that they're going to continue to steal someone else's. And some people, and people have said this, that sometimes people are stealing stuff for things that they need. You know, it could be medical stuff. You know, sometimes you don't even know what is in a package, and you're stealing someone's meds or what have you. So it may not be a big deal, and it could be, well, yeah, Amazon has this or whatever, but you don't know what's in that package that someone may need. And even if it was something that someone did not need, and it could be easily replaced, by not snitching on that person, you're allowing them to continue to do it over and over and over and over. So that's what I say. So that bully that you say, you know, ignore and just don't do anything because they'll get bored and go away. Yeah, they may get bored with you, but they'll start doing it to someone else. And my thing is, you need to just stop people and and cut them off. Singing says, "Nah, bullying was part of my childhood. Never seemed to be a big deal until recently." I disagree with you, Sting. I think that with social media and everything, things have been, um, they're more, you know, there's, how do I want to say this? There's more, there's, social media has brought a new way to bully people, but the bullying was there. So, um, you know, you may not think that it's a big deal, but it's a big deal for someone else. And either way, you know, it just shouldn't happen. You just shouldn't do it. Yeah, social media is only 20 years old. I'm just saying that social media gave bullying just another avenue, another way to bully. So it's so but I come back to my original question. Should you be compelled to report a crime? And I also say, um, everyone's got soft stick and stones make my bones, but words don't hurt. Sorry, words hurt. Words hurt. So should you be repelled? Repelled should be. I'm sorry, my words. Should you be compelled to report a crime? And you know what? And I'm going to put it like this. Um, if someone of importance was getting um, attacked, as opposed to someone, welcome, shy lady. If someone of importance was being attacked, as opposed to, you know, that bartender down the street, who would you be apt to report? And then that comes to, is one person more important than the other, just because they have a title or just because of who they are? Not a problem, Stinger. Um, so does that also, determine whether or not you're going to uh, to report a uh, a crime? Okay, Minnesota says no. In Minnesota, I agree with you 100%. I don't care, you know, if it's somebody, if it's the Pope, or if it's the kid down the street. If you're being attacked or a crime is being done to you, I'm going to report it. So, like I said, y'all, I will report the crime. So, um, and then the last part of the question was, which I already know what you all are already going to say, is if witnesses don't come forward, should they be charged? And on that, I say no. I say no. But I do agree with what Angie said earlier, that you do have less and less people um, uh, reporting crimes. So let's see. Shelley says, I definitely believe if you see a crime being committed, you should report it. So do I. Okay, welcome, BIF.
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Did you want to
Hello.
say something?
No, I
Okay,
don't
you
say
don't.
anything.
Okay, you don't want to say anything?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming up. All right, Crucible. Welcome, welcome. Didn't see you pop in there, so welcome. Let's see. All right. So, um, guys, that's all I have. You guys were making me. You guys were making me me work today. Okay, so Crucible wants to come up. Let's see. Crucible, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I did actually. It's a fine line. I'm coming in late, obviously, so if things have bounced around, just bring me back on track. But the whole thing about feeling compelled to report a crime.
Losing you there. Can't cannot hear you. Crucible. Okay, maybe he got a phone call.
She was living in. Obviously, she's in New York. She's in a very densely
Okay,
populated
okay.
area, and this
Crucible,
was.
wait. Crucible, Crucible, hold on. Can you start over because we missed the whole part of what you said. So can you start over?
Am I breaking up?
You are not breaking up now, but you were, and we
Yeah.
missed a whole chunk of what
Sorry, I
you
had to
said.
change locations. Yeah, it was back in the '60s, and you were too young, and I was too young. But I remember reading about it, and it was in New York, and it was a woman by the name of Kitty. I want to say her last name was Genovese, but she was a young single woman, and this was late at night, and she was screaming because she was being murdered. And all these neighbors later on, the next day, a week later, they were interviewed, and they all heard the screaming. They all kind of knew what was going on, and she did end up getting murdered. And the reasons for each of them not reporting the crime, a lot of it stemmed along the lines of I didn't think it was any of my business. I didn't want to risk my own life. A lot of the others were I thought somebody else was going to report it. So when you've got a very public sort of a thing like this was, it's easy to assume, well, of course somebody else hears it and they're going to do the reporting. I don't want to get involved. But nobody else got involved either because they thought the other person was going to report the crime and the woman was killed. So that's an extreme example, I understand. But, we get that fine line in our society between being vigilant and looking out for each other and our privacy. And there is the real fear of reporting a crime and perhaps becoming a victim of it yourself, I suppose. But I come down on it. You have to report the crime. What if the situation were reversed? What if you were in that same situation and nobody was coming to your aid, or you wish you had a police officer or anybody? The stories are legion. All you have to do is turn on the TV. And there was a story yesterday in Chicago. A woman almost was killed by a panhandler, and this guy came across the parking lot and tackled him. And she believes he had a knife. She believes saved her life. So we have to get involved because it not just because what if it were us, but if we don't have each other, who do we have? Cops can't be everywhere. So there's a difference between getting involved in a crime. In other words, I wouldn't tackle somebody who had a knife, but you can report the crime. You can be involved without being involved, if that makes any sense.
Yes, and we did talk about that. Was one of the questions that I asked is if the situation were reversed. What if it happened to you, and would you want someone to report it for you? And it was Kitty Genovese in New York. It was in 1964. But even then, yeah, you can say I thought someone else, someone else, and be that someone. And if I had to tackle someone, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know, but it's not something that I would immediately say that I wouldn't do. Um, but I would report a crime. I will report the school bully. I will, report the person who is snitching Amazon packages, whatever, because one day that's going to happen to you, and you're going to wish that someone said something. So,
Well, do you also subscribe to the theory, Solid, that are we our brother's keepers, or is it none of our business?
I think we are our brother's keepers up to a certain extent. But for the most part, I don't think like this. I don't want to be in anyone's business, and I don't want anyone to be in mine. But if I see a crime happening towards you, I will say something, and I would hope that you would say the same if something were happening to me, I don't think that we can pick and choose and say, well, no, I'm not going to get involved in this, but I will get involved in that. I mean, to me, crime is crime. So,
But I think I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and I was just going to say, and I also don't believe that just because someone, just because if something were happening to the mayor, and this other person down the street, which nobody knows, I don't think a mayor is more important than someone else. So
No, I agree with that. And I think also what people do, and you just kind of qualified it, and I certainly did. I came right out and said it. We want to get involved, but I think there's degrees to which we've decided we'll become involved. We'll do certain things, but in our own minds, we've already got the line that we won't cross. Mine was I won't tackle a guy with a knife. Somebody else might have a different line, but we're committed to helping, provided it's on our terms, I think. But a lot of times adrenaline takes over. You've seen the interviews, you've seen the stories where people are interviewed afterwards and they don't even remember what they did. They were so caught up in the adrenaline and the heat of the moment that they do Herculean, and superhuman things that they can't even remember, 10 minutes later. But I think we all have that little guideline in our head that says, of course I'll help, but I'm only going to go this far. And if this happens, then I'm not going to go any further, kind of a thing. So I think we all have our systems and our rationales for how much and how far we'll go. But when you're in that moment, it's really impossible sometimes for your emotions to not, get the better of you. But I don't know what kind of a society we would be if we didn't have our brothers' backs to some extent. Obviously, there's limits. And if you're a 75-year-old lady and you see a crime being committed, or there's a carjacking or something, you can't get involved. And I wouldn't get involved either. But you can pick up the phone. Because that gives us all a sense of well-being. Even though we'd rather see a police officer on the street who's armed, our neighbors being vigilant and looking out for us does give a sense of community and a sense of well-being. And I think that's important, especially these days when nobody seems to be safe.
okay, that is true. Shy lady, welcome.
Hello.
Shy lady, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hey. I just want to add that I had a situation where when I was this was back in the mid 90s, like 95, 96, and I lived in an apartment at the time, and I saw this man. I mean, I knew they lived in the same apartment building as me. It was a man and his wife, and he was from another country. He was from the continent of Africa, um, and he was from this particular country. And I saw him on the porch of the apartment complex beating his pregnant wife with a broom over her head, over and over, while she screamed. And this is during the daytime. This is around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Um, and I'm like looking at this, and I'm like, oh my god. And I don't think he thought anyone was home or whatever at the time. I was pregnant and at home, and maybe this was something accustomed to the country he was from. I don't know, but I called the police and they came out and arrested him. And the sad thing about that situation was he he got out, and he and his wife are back together. So I don't know if that's a custom, where they're from, but there's no way in hell I would go back to anybody that was beat me like a maniac with a broom over my head. And this woman was like really pregnant. I'm talking 8, 9 months pregnant. She wasn't little pregnant, and about a month later, she delivered the twins.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into, because I am ending the show around the hour mark today. So I don't, what you said is getting into a whole different, topic, whatever. But when you see quote unquote crimes like that, um, are they according to the country? Meaning, if you were in their country and you were visiting, and you call enforcement, and law enforcement came out and they're like, well, what? You're like, well, he's beating his wife. And so, but yet over here, it's like you can't do that. So do you think that it was a crime here, but not where they're from? And then in terms of her going back to her husband, we see that all the time. So do you think that, again, my main question is, do you think that the crime would have mattered if you had witnessed it in their country?
Well, it depends because the way he was beating her, he could have easily put her what do you call it, brain dead.
Mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm.
could have easily, because he was hitting her over the head with all his force and might. He's a man, easily weighing 200 pounds. So I don't know if somebody, even his own country, would have said something, because it was actually bordering on murder, attempted murder, because you're hitting this person not on their arms or back, but over on their head, over and over and over, as hard as you can. I know it's a broom, it's not a bat, but you're talking about 200 pounds with a lot of force hitting someone on their head. So I think that if I had not called the police, she might have actually been put in a coma, or maybe could have died, the way he was beating her over and over on her head. So it
But
depends, because I know
okay,
some countries, they don't tolerate. I know some accept like men disciplining their wives, but that was bordering on attempted murder, in my opinion.
but at the same time, and the reason why I say this, and guys, I do not want to, but Shy Lady, you opened the door, and I'm not going to take this any further than what I'm saying. When you have things like honor killings, where you have places like some of these Middle Eastern places where your daughters or your sisters are supposed to remain virgins. And if they don't, and they do something to dishonor the family, it's not a big deal for their brothers or fathers to kill them. And it's acceptable because they, according to them, they dishonored the family. So again, I understand what you're saying, that and I'm not sticking up for him at all. There's no way in hell I would ever allow someone to even, to do that to me, whatever. But is it a cultural thing? But over in the US, we see it, oh, no, 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 you're not supposed to do that.
Uh, Possibly it is a culture thing, um, because she wasn't trying to get away or fight back. She was just cowered on the floor of the apartment complex, covering her head, with her hands, and scrouched down where she was kind of protecting her belly. But I mean, she was like defenseless, not fighting back.
So
So
it's
maybe it's
something that
acceptable.
okay, and maybe it's something that has happened to her through her entire marriage.
Possibly, yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah,
All right. All right.
yep.
Well, guys, I said I was going to keep it to an hour. So, Crucible, did you want to add anything else?
No, it was a good topic for a short show. It was a really good. It was a really good topic. But
Well,
I
short
just
show
want
if
to.
you come in. 10
Yeah, I know.
minutes
Well,
in.
it's always a short show for me. Um, but not to not to go moralizing or anything, but back to my previous comments. We owe it to each other to look out for each other, even if we can't come to each other's aid physically at that particular instance. The idea that somebody actually, who is a perfect stranger to me, actually risked their own, maybe not their life, but their health by coming to my aid, and they don't even know me. And a lot of these people, they walk away without any thanks. They don't want any credit. They don't want to be interviewed. These people are like gold in our community, and we owe it to each other. There's a sense of morality about doing the right thing. And like I said, even if we don't succeed, the message that we send is almost impossible to measure. So in the right circumstances, as long as you're not endangering your own life, you got to have your brother's back.
Okay. All right. And on that note, to Shy Lady and Crucible, thank you for coming up. And Shorty, thank you for popping in. Um, again, DMAC, who else? Minnesota, Shelby was here earlier. Angie was here earlier. Uh, Stinga was here earlier. Thank you guys all. But I am ending the show today. There will be no show tomorrow or Thursday. So I will see you guys probably next Tuesday. I don't think I'll be doing a show on Tuesday. On Labor Day. But I am going to be traveling, so I will not have a show. But enjoy the rest of your week. Have a safe Labor Day weekend, whatever you guys choose to do. And go where the wind takes you. Thank you for coming. Bye. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dee. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I will see you guys um next week. And Minnesota, I will see you soon physically. So, all right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.